What happens when you purify your body, your mind, your spirit? Something miraculous. The body begins to heal itself. Welcome to the Medicine Girl podcast, where each week we explore new ways to heal your body from the root, igniting your inner healer. You are the medicine. And now, here's your host, Robyn Stebbins.
Welcome to the Medicine Girl podcast, Robyn Openshaw. You guys might know her as a green smoothie girl. So Robyn, take it away, introduce yourself, and then we're going to get into my favorite topic of the moment, vitamins and supplements.
Hey Robyn, thank you. Well, you were a part of my process. I've been questioning the whole supplement narrative deeper and deeper and deeper for years now, and then I would write blog posts and I would write social media posts, and during the couple of years that I was writing detailed blog posts and social media posts, I had about 6 women who went off their supplements, which is not something I'm going to tell them to do. You could get in trouble for that. They call it practicing medicine without a license. I'm never going to tell somebody do or don't take this or that. But about half a dozen of them said, I went off all my supplements and I feel so much better. Like, who knew?
Yeah.
So, the book hasn't even released yet. But you asked for my backstory. I've started with the front story, which is, this is my 17th book. It's called Take Daily, and it's about the supplement industry. It's been your jam too for years, I know, and I think the awareness about it is growing. But I started online as Green Smoothie Girl over 18 years ago, and basically it was just that I got very sick after a flu vaccine in graduate school, and I was required to go get this. I didn't want to. I didn't know anything. All right. So back over 18 years ago, I started this little website because people were like, you need to go tell your story, because they had seen me become very sick for 4 years. People who were close to me. You'd have to be really close to me because I was trying to fake it. And I always thought I was about to turn the corner, and I didn't know that a week of being sick, and then a month of being sick, and then a winter of being sick after a, product that goes in the arm, made me very sick in grad school. I was required to get it. I didn't intuitively want to, even though I didn't know anything about that subject. But anyway, that's sort of what tipped me over. I think my crappy diet had everything to do with why I was vulnerable. I don't think that was the only issue. I'd been on a lot of antibiotics as a kid and as a teenager, so I had other toxic exposures. I don't want to blame it all on that one thing, but that one thing absolutely tipped me over, and I was mostly in bed for 4 years. And so, when you get well, you're looking for all the things that can get you well. I ended up putting up the website Green Smoothie Girl about 18 to 19 years ago, because I not only got well, but my child, who was also injured from 3 similar products at the same time when he was 4 months old, happened in the same year as me. And I was like, wait a minute. And so I started researching. I radically changed our diet. I did a really profound detox when I wasn't, I had to wait. I was researching for a few years. I had to wait because I was either pregnant or breastfeeding for several years. And when I detoxed, I got miraculously better and well. And so I just went out on the internet. I started talking about it, and it was just kind of a mommy blog. And it went from there. I ended up quitting my university faculty position, and I had been a psychotherapist before. And anyways, I ended up just doing this full time and educating and writing books, especially about what I did, and trying to make it easier for other people. So the supplement thing is quite the rabbit hole, and it was almost like one supplement at a time. I remember a few years ago spending an entire Thanksgiving weekend, because I didn't have to work, and the only thing I had to do was go to a friend's house. I think my husband did the food assignment, and I just was vitamin D Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like all day long, every day. Vitamin D. I always have to use the quote marks since I do not whatsoever believe that cholecalciferol is a vitamin, nor is it the substance that or the compound that may be made in your body in contact with the sun. But anyway, so yeah, that is a chapter in here. And I remember you saying something about it, and I was already like questioning it, but you added something to my questioning and my knowledge and my will to really spend what probably is well over 1,000 hours researching to write this book.
Right. And that was actually my first question, was about the cholecalciferol. First and foremost, the vitamin industry was invented by the pharmaceutical industry, and they make vitamins and supplements in the identical way with similar chemicals that they do prescription drugs. So we can just start there. Then my first question was, when I discovered this about vitamin D3 after giving it to my son, and he broke a shoulder from a short fall, like a little old lady at 9 years old, someone asked me if I was supplementing him, and I'm proudly saying, yeah, it's the good stuff, and lanolin with K2. And they're like, well, do you know the mechanisms of action? Do you know that it's rat poison? And I was like, what? How could I possibly have been tricked into poisoning my son again after he was severely injured from those when he was a baby? And when I actually got in my car and went to Ace Hardware and got a bag of Decon rat poison, and I was like, my jaw was on the floor when I saw it. It said cholecalciferol. So my question is, I went to everyone, like, I'm sounding the alarm. All of these influencers that are promoting vitamin D3 in high mega doses, surely they'll want this information. And I was attacked like viciously. Not the research I was presenting, but me personally. Like, they went after me. Like, I'm a horrible person. I'm a narcissist. I have childhood trauma. I need to journal. It had nothing to do with cholecalciferol, except for one person, and that was you. So what is different about Robyn Openshaw and, say, all of these other influencers that are also selling this product on their websites and giving affiliate links and making a profit from it?
Well, I think you just answered your own question right there. The vast majority of them would go under if they quit selling pills. And so they're selling pills because they don't have to prescribe, they don't have to diagnose or prescribe to sell a supplement. And that's the genius of it. You already laid out, and it's definitely in the book, that the pharmaceutical industry invented vital amines, which became called vitamins. Now everybody thinks and takes for granted that there's these vitamins, and we know a whole lot about them, and you can get them in a pill, and if you take enough of these pills, then you don't have to worry about deficits in your diet. Like, turns out all that's false. When you said it to me, I had already been in the process of getting rid of some supplements that I recommended. I think at the time that you started speaking to me about it, I even had an affiliate link somewhere on my site. But to be fair to my colleagues, not to excuse them that if they make money doing something that they should just ignore the actual evidence about it. I'm not excusing them. But to be fair, I had been suspicious of this whole idea that, I'm going to cover up the brand here because I don't want to get in trouble with the specific brand, but it's such a tempting idea.
Right.
And also so suspicious, so sketch, that I can take 2 of these pills that are brownish or white, and somehow this relates to these colorful fruits and vegetables that are like orange and red and yellow. And I had been suspicious of that for years. And when I went on a tour of cancer clinics all over the world, they would want to give me like vitamin C in a bag, and I would be like, what is it really? Because it's like a clear liquid. So like, what does that have to do with the compound that's supposedly in red bell peppers and orange mangoes? And it just didn't make any sense to me. And so then I started, one by one, I'd research things. And then when there was AI and I could ask really sophisticated questions and have it pull up a whole research paper for me with references that I could click into the references, it got that much easier. And I think eventually it'll get memory hold, all this information that I was able to find. That's why I needed help with it, And I know you and I talked about helping with it, but I ended up using Mike Fairclough as a research assistant and ghostwriter because I wanted to go fast before they put a wall in between us and this information about where the product is made, how it's made, what chemicals are involved. I mean, I could go in there and I just learned really ninja queries like chemical processes used in manufacturing ascorbic acid. So see what I did there with that query is I already told the AI that I know it's ascorbic acid, not vitamin C. Because I know all the different things that are part of the vitamin C complex. But anyways, I'm kind of going off the script of your question. But basically, I've had the same reaction from my colleagues. And so they're not having me on their podcast. And we and my ghostwriter, Mike Fairclough, who resisted the mandates for the thing. Yeah. In the UK, he was a headmaster, and he was the only one of 4,500 headmasters to resist that. Therefore, he can no longer be a headmaster in the UK. He was asking people like Dr. Drew, "Can I come on your show?" He knows all the influencers and the people at the big shows in the UK. And I told him, I said, they're going to tell you no because they sell supplements. And they don't want us to say anything that's critical of the way that they make a living. So bottom line is, I have somehow managed to work as what people call influencer. I mean, I kind of hate that word because it kind of implies somebody out on the beach, self-absorbed, taking pictures of themselves in a bikini, which is not whatsoever what I ever did. But I think that most of those influencers have absolutely no idea how to make a living unless they're constantly pushing affiliate links for various pills and products. I mean, even the protein powders, that's a whole other topic, and we talk about that in the book. Even though it's not a pill, it's not a supplement, right. But it kind of is because all of these products come from a throwaway byproduct of an industry. Virtually all of them.
Well, and you're also purchasing products from psychopaths. So any corporation is in a DSM-5 psychopathic diagnostic code, and so they only care about turning a profit. So what you're buying could be, and I don't know if you remember this story that came out about Walmart. They tested all their supplements, their Walmart brand supplements, and they were all dust. There wasn't anything in them. And that's the thing. And even if there is, people go with a story that you were told about Rockefeller taking over the medicine in the 1920s, and he got rid of the healthy. No, they're just playing you. I mean, medicine started out toxic, satanic, and it's pharmakia and spellcasting. So in the 20s, he just took over and played people who were like, okay, allopathic side, they're going to tell you line for line how dangerous it is. They're going to tell you the direct effects of taking their poison. But the other side, the functional medicine side, the supplement side, they're the good guys, and they wanted to delete that. Look at the whole story in Canada. Well, they're going to take away vitamins and supplements, so everyone's hoarding them. If you look at market analysis of what happened in Canada with vitamins and supplements, a huge spike. So they're just playing people. They're not going to get rid of it, but the underlying idea is that there is something that exists in nature called vitamin C or vitamin B1, and there isn't. It's a compound that's inside a lemon, perhaps, out of 500,000 or 100,000 compounds, and they pick one that they can make a chemical copy of. Right, and then it's the chemicals that go into it are like for ascorbic acid is high fructose corn syrup, hydrochloric acid, aspergillus niger, on and on we go. And it's just like this chemical to that chemical to that chemical gives you this supposed.
Well, the way that they justify it is that there's some kind of molecular overlap. Like if you made a Venn diagram of whatever. All the B vitamins. You can't parse them out into 12 different pills. It's ridiculous. And all of them are made with heavy metals and petrochemicals. And no food is involved in your B complex. I hate to tell you guys. There's a rare brand that will use some kind of like food substances that, are high in vitamin B, but the vast majority of them, like if you see the word pyridoxine, like vitamin B6 in parentheses, pyridoxine, they've just mentally trained us to think that pyridoxine is vitamin B6. It's not. It's the chemical that they give us and stick it in on a line on a supplement bottle, calling it vitamin B6.
But first and foremost, there's no vitamin B6. There's no vitamin B1. There's no thiamine. There's no magic ingredient in the brown part, the rice hull on a rice. Like, that's how they started with vitamin B1. They said white rice is making people sick. So instead of saying, hey, you guys really need to eat brown rice, they made a chemical copy so that they could get into the food fortification industry and spray all our food with these vitamins, chemicals to make them safe. So they just stop poisoning them and they go back onto the shelf.
Yeah, and I mean, people should ask, I was just asking myself just basic logic questions, like not only what is this clear liquid that they want to put in my veins that they're calling vitamin C, and then I found out it's ascorbic acid, which is a byproduct of cornstarch making. It's almost all made in China, and it's so acidic that they put half sodium ascorbate in, or else you wouldn't be able to tolerate it. Like, you would be like screaming, get this out of me. I actually have had that experience. You know, it's not that I've never had a quote unquote vitamin C IV drip. I've actually had it burn my veins and say, get this out of me, like get the nurse to come get it out of me. And some people do have that, even with all the buffering of another chemical that just, all it's doing is buffering it. But yeah, that we document that the pharmaceutical industry started it. They're not opposites, and this is the natural version, and this will keep you from having deficiencies in your diet. It's literally the other side of the house in the pharmaceutical companies most of the time, or there's really complex arrangements where they own some shares, they own like voting majority of stock, or they're being bought up, all that. Like, people think that the drug companies are buying up the supplement companies. No, it goes back so much further than that. And really, you know, I listened to you, and I remember you telling me about another influencer who was absolutely abusive to you, questioning DMSO. So I went down the rabbit hole on DMSO, and I started questioning too, and she was abusive to me too. I didn't even go to her directly, but somebody tagged her in one of my posts. And I was like, this is made from like sawdust or wood pulp. It's amazing how many words there are that the supplement companies can use. It's kind of like when the public started waking up to monosodium glutamate, so they just started calling it like 12 different things. Right. So that even the more sophisticated buyers would like not know that hydrolyzed vegetable protein was really MSG. It's kind of like that. Like, when you see hypromellulcellulose, you just think, oh, well, that sounds like a sciencey word. It must be good. And it's sawdust.
Yeah.
Or wood pulp. Like, literally the stuff they throw away making furniture, they sell to there's contracts between big chem, these big chemical manufacturing plants, and the drug company, supplement company, whatever you want to call it, whoever owns it. There are all these big complexes that are consolidating, and it's becoming a smaller and smaller number of huge mega corporations at the top, but they don't know. I've gotten on the phone when somebody's like, oh, we want to talk to you about maybe selling our supplement product. Like, during the last several years, I'll get on the phone with them, even though I'm not going to sell their product, just so I can ask the CEO, like, what are your products actually made of? Like, what are the raw materials? Like, and I remember one, it was a guy in the UK, and he was so suave and so articulate when it came to marketing. But then when I said, but what is your product made of? Like, I get it, you're in all the Whole Foods markets in the UK, and you have 49% of the market share, whatever. What's your product actually made of? Like, what's in the pill? What's the base material of the pill? And he was like, I'm going to have our nutritionist get with you, because he literally did not know. The CEO of a $1 billion company.
But don't you think that's a little bit on the side of unconscionable? Like, you're a high level influencer, so that means people go on to your podcast, go onto your website, and they are looking for you to tell them what to take. And so I feel like it's a responsibility that we have to not unknowingly, unwittingly poison people. It's you can't just go based on what the manufacturer is telling you because they're trying to sell the product. You actually have to do your own research. And all you have to do now is tell me what's in synthetic vitamin B1. Tell me the step-by-step place of making synthetic vitamin B1. You can do that for now. I mean, they're taking it off. Like, I'm starting to notice now that I've been searching it and getting all this information, it's starting to go away. They're starting to say vitamin B1.
Yeah, you have to ask it more and more and more questions to get to the truth. But that's like the point of saying chemical processes used in the manufacture of ascorbic acid. I've now told it with my query that I know that I want ascorbic acid. Don't give me some marketing information about vitamin C. I've told with that query, I've told them that I know that it's manufactured. And I've told them that I know that there's chemical processes involved. The problem is the average consumer, including the average functional medicine doctor, practitioner, influencer, they don't know how to do a query like that. I developed my spidey skills by realizing you have to push past marketing narratives. But I've had influencers I think really highly of, whom I have known for a decade or more, get really mad at me when I start talking in detail with references about the meta studies on using cholecalciferol, or what they call vitamin D, or calling out ascorbic acid as not vitamin C, and the whole mega dose for immune effects. None of that is true. And I have, it's hard. I have gotten my feelings hurt multiple times because I'll go to influencers I think of as the most high integrity ones and get nothing but anger in response. And there's no reason for it besides, they promote a vitamin C and they promote a vitamin D. It's that simple.
Yep, I think that's it. And so that's why I say it's unconscionable, because you're unwittingly or wittingly poisoning people to protect a income and revenue source. Same thing happened with another influencer from Canada. He was promoting a detox for this in 2020 that had vitamin D3 as the main thing to do, and was promoting ivermectin and was promoting zinc. And I said, are you interested in learning about the research? He's like, absolutely. So I spent hours, because I'm thinking, I mean, he's a high-level influencer, thousands of people follow him. And I spent hours back and forth on emails, and he ignored everything I said.
So did my hormone practitioner. So I am getting pretty skeptical of the labs industry as well. In fact, I started writing about the labs industry. I was like 40 pages in, and then I realized this is either going to be a reference book, and they're literally like approving thousands of new labs a year because it's such a big industry. But I was starting to have like lots of questions about how they shoehorn people into taking the pills by giving them labs, and then one by one, the validity of these labs was falling apart for me, such as the 25D lab test that gets, it's just a great moneymaker for the functional medicine practitioners. And it's not that I think that they're like snakes in the grass. I think they believe what they're telling their patients. But I was telling my hormone practitioner 3 different times, because one of the experiments that really made me question about vitamin D, I never trusted it. I always saw this like white pill, and I was like, if my body makes this in the sun, and I was familiar with the fact that it's a corticosteroid hormone and not a vitamin, so already the labeling is fraudulent.
What is a vitamin anyway, though?
Right. What is a vitamin anyway? How much do we really know? I'll be the first one to agree with you, Robyn. Like, we know way less than we should, and it's not really studied. It's like some observation from 100 years ago, and then it becomes a pill, and then it becomes this highly protected billion-dollar industry. And once it's a billion-dollar industry, you can't rip that thing out by the roots anymore. It's going to take an act of God or an act of Congress. Yeah. But my practitioner, who I really thought highly of, and I had gone to her for hormones for many years, and I had been to 7 of them over the course of 30 years. And she was the best one of the 7. Like, a really good bioidentical hormone practitioner is hard to find. Yes, I'm questioning that too. Yes, there's a chapter on bioidentical hormones in here. But anyway, like years ago, I was leaving her office, and she said, well, as you're leaving, why don't you buy my it's not hers, right? Like there's these billion-dollar companies that private label, and the practitioners literally get like 50%. Like the margins for supplements are like 40 and 50%. It is super profitable. So she had her label on a fish oil and on a vitamin D. And on my way out the door, she said, hey, you should get some of this and be taking it every month. So that's when I was kind of like, oh, I see what's going on here. So the $79 office visit, why would you accept that and have to have like 1,000 times more patients or 100 times more patients or whatever when you can get them on monthly auto ship, making 50% on $150 worth of supplements? But she told me, take my vitamin D and take this fish oil. I didn't buy the fish oil because I had already done the deep dive on that. I've written multiple blog posts about it. That one is a huge scam. That's a whole side tangent. But to stick with vitamin D, for whatever reason, I did buy it and I did take it, not religiously, but I took it somewhat over the course of a year. And the reason it's really stupid that I bought the vitamin D is that I said to her, didn't you just tell me that my vitamin D levels are optimal, which I had always been told every year? And that 25D lab test, those higher scores do correlate to people with better health. So there's that confuses people and makes them think, oh, I need to just increase that lab value, and then I'm healthier, I have a stronger immune system. I mean, they started selling it to us in the 80s, telling us it was going to make our bones stronger, and when that completely fell apart with a massive meta-analysis proving that taking vitamin D doesn't whatsoever make your bones stronger, they just moved on to a different narrative, and now it's about keeping our immune system strong. So I told her, so I took the vitamin D. The next year I went back after taking it kind of on a spotty here and there, not all the time, and I was below the optimal range for the first and only time in my life. I have been back in the optimal range since I quit taking the little pressed white pills that they said are vitamin D. And so that was like one of the things that got me wondering, but I had 3 times over the course of several years tried to talk to her on Zoom at our office visit or face-to-face at our office visit, or I'd send her an email with one of my blog posts highly referenced to the meta-studies on, cholecalciferol preventing any number of things from cancer to whatever the narrative is. All 3 times she either changed the subject, or in the case of the email, it's officially the only email I've ever sent her that she ignored. And then she sold her practice to a young nurse practitioner. And I can't prove it, and I would like to talk to her one day and see if I can get her to tell me if this is the truth. But she is such a high integrity person. I kind of wonder, and she would call me when she would have a patient that she thought I might know something about. She would call me and say, hey, what do you know about this or that? So she respected my knowledge base and my research skills, and I think she probably looked into it.
Yeah.
And probably sold her practice, even though I didn't really feel like she was at a retirement age. And I think her practice was thriving. I have a feeling that she started to not feel so great about what her practice had become. Because when you've built up $10,000 a month in net income from selling cholecalciferol, falsely called vitamin D, are you going to give that up easily? Are you going to call all your patients and say, sorry, you've been taking a product that's toxic and that is the active ingredient in a lot of, like you said, rat poisons? Are you going to call them all up and say, stop taking it, it might have hurt you? No, you're not.
And so that's the crux of it, because first, when you really truly wake up to how to do actual research, meaning you're not relying on a piece of paper from a pharmaceutical funded university with they already know the results they want, and they'll keep running numbers until they get the results. James Corbett did a great expose on the studies. Then you have to admit that you told people to take something that harmed them or potentially harmed them for years. And a lot of people don't want to do that, especially if, like you said, that's their bread and butter. They've become accustomed to this lifestyle at whatever income they're making from these supplements, and they're looking at it, okay, now I'm going to go down to $2,000 a month, like I can't survive. So they get in the fear, but I don't care. You still don't poison people for $1. That's point blank. Then let's get into...
I had to do it. I had to, when I started going out there, when I started to feel confident enough that I'd done enough research and started to publish on vitamin D, I had people say, but I've been following you for years. Haven't you recommended vitamin D? Like, look at this bottle that I bought because of you. recommending it, and I would say, I'm really sorry, I was wrong.
Yeah. And that's all it takes. Like, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was going based on what the vitamin D lobbyists are pumping out to the industry. So they just take a piece of paper and they're like, okay, 40% of people that took the vitamin D therapy experienced all of these improvements in symptoms, depression and whatever, immune boosting. There's no way of proving that because I personally don't have a control. You don't have two of me. One gets the vitamin D, the other one doesn't. So you that's how they kind of get like this, underhand behind the back door and convince you that the research is correct. And I wrote a Substack on lab values, and I called it Lab Value Larceny because before that, as a nurse working in the field, I would say these are pharmaceutical funded lab values with pharmaceutical funded abnormal and normal ranges. That's why they're always changing the ranges, because it just sells you more pills, or it sells the practitioners then buy more of the vitamins. But I think there's also something even more nefarious in that, and they don't put anything in a bottle that doesn't create more downstream customers.
Right.
So like in 2020, sure, they made a handsome profit off of the actual jab, but the downstream effects, what we've seen with myocarditis and strokes and blood clots and all of these things, they netted 10x. So I think that's more what they're after. And sure, they get, their pharmaceutical puppets of these functional medicine doctors saying, hey, Robyn, you're really going to need to take some fish oil, and I got to get you on this vitamin D3, because you trust them. You give them more like most people. Like you're using logic.
There's a part of it.
Use that.
All of what you said, there's a part of it that I haven't gone to the bottom of this rabbit hole yet, but I just have enough that I think that this will sort of blow your mind. But I still go for labs every year, because I'm not totally settled on whether I think that the bioidentical thyroid that I was told my thyroid was a flatline, and I was very much exposed to radiation. As a baby, I was not breastfed. I was drinking cow's milk, and I lived very close to the Nevada test site. And the victims of the radiation poisoning from the Nevada test site won a class action lawsuit against the federal government for their radiation exposure. Well, they were detonating those bombs till I was 9 months old as a cow milk fed baby, when the cows were eating the grass close, within a couple of hours of there. So, I'm still like on the fence, because getting on bioidentical thyroid when my thyroid tanked after my third baby, it was really life-changing for me. But now I'll like go months off of it just to see if I feel any different, and then go in for my labs and they'll tell me that everything looks perfect again. And I'm like, wait a minute. So basically my body's making thyroid that you're telling me isn't Hashimoto's, which you told me 20 years ago that I had. And I've been literally taking these bioidenticals for 20 years. But I've done it twice now, where I go off of it for months and I go in for my labs, don't even say anything about the fact that I'm not taking my bioidenticals at all. So here's a crazy thought. So this last time, this is in April of this year, you have to go in for labs or else they won't prescribe you your bioidenticals. And I was like learning how these bioidenticals, probably there are solvents, petrochemical solvents involved, just like with most of the supplements and stuff. So I go into LabCorp, where my practitioner, who's a nurse practitioner here in Florida now, had sent me, and they tried to charge me $2,600 before they drew my blood. And I just laughed. And I was like, okay, I have no diagnoses. I'm literally just going to get my bioidenticals re-upped. I'm not paying $2,600 for labs. So I left, drove home, kind of bugged because I drove across town. So I contact my practitioner, and he said, well, you can come into my office and we'll do it for like $400. So I'm like, how's that work? $400 or $2,600? So I go into ChatGPT and I start asking questions about, has LabCorp or Quest, those are the two big chains, ever been caught paying practitioners? Because I'm kind of wondering if my practitioner sees, if there's anything in it for him, does he see me and say, hey, money? Or, if you think that they have money and that they're going to be willing to spend literally probably the average monthly income
Right.
on labs just to have him re-up my bioidentical thyroid and progesterone. Anyway, I'm not to the bottom of that, but in ChatGPT it said, yes, both companies have been caught doing kickbacks to doctors.
Right.
So I don't know what that looks like. I'm not making any accusations of any specific practitioner, including mine. But something weird is going on here. Why do I need $2,600 worth of labs when I'm not sick?
Well, and if you look at, and so when I did the deep dive and I had to stop myself, when you look at the origins of the medical system, it started out as pharmakia and spell casting, and they would take bodily fluids, they would take your blood, they would take urine, they would take spinal fluid, and they would cast spells on it. So I looked at, when you're going in, you're contacting with these psychopathic organizations. I call it the medical industrial complex because I've worked in there now for 37 years. I've seen exactly what they do. And so I see the labs over and over and over. All of a sudden, all of the patients I had were on vitamin D. And then I looked at the labs. This 80-year-old bedridden woman who hadn't seen the light of day in 5 years had the same vitamin D level as the 20-year-old surfer that had the shoulder surgery. How is that possible? He'd been out in the sun nonstop. He had a glowing tan. She hadn't seen the sun, zero sunlight. So I started looking at all of the labs because when I was in nursing school, none of what they're telling you is making sense. It's going to pharmaceutical school or pharmaceutical corporate school, and they're just telling you how to be a mouthpiece for the organization. Like, that's what the pain scale was, to sell opioids. And everything that we're trained to do is to sell more pharmaceuticals or make people more comfortable with the side effects. That's what I was trained to do. So then we get down to the labs and the studies. If they are colluded in any way, because there are some that are valid, like liver function test, if you're compromised, like if you're eating these pre and post workout shakes and tons of powders that you don't know what they are, and drinking alcohol and doing all these things, sure, maybe that would be good to see how your liver's doing or how your kidneys are doing. But other than that, I think primarily, and I don't know if you've investigated even like prostate specific antigen. There's a big thing about that.
Funny you should bring that up, because my father has stage 4 prostate cancer, and it's all through his bones and it's all through his lymphatic system. And he also had dementia even before he was diagnosed in beginning of January with cancer. And I have 7 siblings. I'm the oldest of 8 children, and we've just had this big hullabaloo in our family because my brothers will say, well, I just took Dad to the doctor and his PSA test is down by 70. This is really going the right direction. This is really great. And finally, and I have said in the family thread, we're not, a couple of my brothers are super, super pro allopathic medicine. Whatever a doctor says, we're going to do it. We're going to push Mom and Dad to do it. So my father has prostate cancer. Twice, I've kind of given a download. And I'm like, since you guys are saying, well, since our dad has had prostate cancer, we need to get our PSA checked more often. I said, you guys, the medical doctor who brought the PSA test to the US has tried to retract it and can't. Like, it's too much a part of the industry and it's too much a part of oncology. And he has publicly many times said this is not a good biomarker, and it swings wildly based on lots of things that are completely unrelated to prostate cancer. So the second time I shot my mouth off in the family thread, mostly for the sake of it's too late for my dad. Like, he's very near the end, but for the sake of my 6 brothers, I was like, what, Dad could prove to himself, if you took him to get the PSA test 3 times in one day, you could see how wildly the PSA test swings. Whether it went down 70 or it went up 120 kind of has nothing to do with anything. And you guys are pushing him into chemo, which has no chance of helping him, and 2 oncologists have told us this, based on a PSA test that you could find out yourself. You could go in ChatGPT and just do some of these simple searches, and you could find out yourself in 60 seconds.
Right.
And so I think some of my brothers have done the research that I tell them to do, because they have prostates too, and they should. And then some of my brothers are just like, Oh, she's so anti-medical.
Yeah, yeah. I get that. And, some people, it's like you can lead the horse to water. And I mean, if it was me, I would want to know. Some people don't want to know. They're just like, nope, I'm going to do my annual visit. I'm going to trust the doctor and no more discussion whatsoever. But I mean, there's even a book, The Prostate Specific Antigen Hoax. And if you look at my patient caseload when I was working as an RN in home health, 100% of men over 70 have prostate cancer.
Yeah.
It's not possible. So the industry no longer knows what a bell curve is in statistics. It is not possible for 100% of men to have prostate cancer. And they'll say, oh, it's okay, it's slow growing. But the second, if there is a collection of toxins, let's say in the prostate, and they pierce it with a biopsy needle, then that whatever collection of toxins was being encapsulated now is going to spread throughout the body.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning of what they do. Having lived through it this entire year with my dad, who is, I don't have words for how much I love that guy. And just, that, and then putting him on Lupron, which is a female menopause drug. And then from there, like he was told no chemo or radiation is going to help you. But you know what? When I have siblings pushing for the chemo and the radiation, they will sell it to you. They do make $5,000 to $10,000 on each round of chemo. And I said that to my one brother who is an attorney and I knew would be the most aggressive. And he was like going through a divorce and living with my parents. So I knew he had really undue influence on them and had power of attorney. I said, are you aware that oncologists make a markup on chemo? And he goes, yes, of course I am. And I'm like, well, then you're not even like, it's not even 1 in 10 people that I tell that to who are aware of it. Like I talk to people who had cancer 10 years ago and don't know that. Just at my 40th high school reunion last week, talked to a guy who was treated for, and he's like an MBA, worked for the State Department, and he didn't know that all oncologists in private practice mark up the chemo. And I looked up, because now I have AI tools and it's so easy to do, about how much they make. Is somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 per round of chemo. Well, a lot of people do round after round after round. One of my employees signed up for 6 months of chemo, and 3 years later, he's my age and he feels like he's in his 90s. He, that I don't know how many rounds that is, 6 or 7 rounds, like that. That's a cow. That's
going to get you another house in Italy or a yacht, and that's, I think, the allure. And so, I always tell people, like, I can't sell oil of oregano in all good conscience, because then I would ignore studies that said it's harmful to the liver or something to that effect. I don't know that it is, but I'm just using that as an example. The same, like, it's a conflict of interest with the doctors, and I don't know if people are aware of how they make a cancer diagnosis. It's not like they plug you into this, complex machine. A lot of times I have Medicaid patients that get a cancer diagnosis based on a shadow that they'll show the patient on an x-ray. They practice on these poor people. I've seen it. I've seen them take healthy limbs saying, no, there's an infection in the bone based on a shadow on an x-ray. So that's this industry, that we're dealing with, that's making you the diagnosis. That's really where I think it stems from the studies that are telling people to believe something that's not true. Then we can back it up with the pharmaceutical funded lab values, because it's they become the translator. Yes, we see the numbers in black and white, but I don't know what the thyroid stimulating hormone levels mean. They have to tell me, and so what they're going to tell me only benefits them. That's the whole game.
Yeah, like you don't just need thyroid. You need all the precursors. Sorry, the light will adjust in a second. If it doesn't, I'll turn that back on, but that light was kind of killing me. What is happening? There we go. See? Here, I'm back. So I was starting to think that what I was getting from a bioidentical hormone practitioner was not as valid as I had hoped. When they were like, oh, and you also need to take this white powder pill that's a precursor hormone. You need to take this precursor hormone pill, and somehow those all work together as if my body was just making it itself, just from me taking it one time a day, one big old dose once a day. Nothing about that made sense to me. And that's how I just kept researching, and you and I eventually dovetailed. I think you were following my work post, the dreaded gombu that everybody had in 2020 and 2021. And I went to Telegram so I could talk about that stuff because I kept going to Facebook jail.
Right. And that's a huge part of it. Getting censored, and you wonder why. Why is this information censored? We should have a balanced view. And I mean, even now, when I was still working in doing home health, I went to a patient, and this is when they started debriding now the wounds. I get these wounds healed in, if they have diabetes, sometimes it can take 6 months. But when they debride them, they never heal.
Really?
And so now Medicare is now having, or before I left, they're having forced debridement. And I got into an argument with the physician because he was going in and debriding the wound. And now the wound looked horrible. It was healing. We were almost done with it. And he wanted to debride it 3 times a week, which just means scraping it off.
Yeah.
Scraping it off.
Anything that makes no sense because cells. It's like so many other things. It's like this industry, or the allopathic medical complex, pharma medical complex, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's really painful for me to watch my parents, who are people of faith.
Yeah.
They are super religious, and I just want to say to them, what happened to your conviction that your body heals itself? Debriding a wound and just continually taking off what the immune system is creating is bonkers. I know what debriding is, but I didn't know, doing it 3 times a day or whatever, you're fighting the body's immune function.
Well, and interestingly enough, during the lockdowns, I had patients, and usually it's the VA. They love to debride the wounds because then they get to take the foot and then they get to take the leg. This is what they do. I've seen it. I have direct evidence of it.
Sadistic. That's so painful.
I have patients that are like, my toe is healthy, but they can't say no because then they'll get kicked out of the practice. So they have to donate a healthy toe to stay in the practice. And I had one patient ask the doctor, "Are you putting these toes around a necklace? Is this a trophy for you? This isn't right."
So you were talking earlier about some FOMO, or fear of missing out, or they're going to take it away from us in Canada. They're going to not let us have supplements. I've heard that narrative in the US too, but we just had this in 2021. Is that an example of what you're talking about, which is just irresistible to the marketers of supplements, is NAC, or N-acetylcysteine. And so the narrative was that it would help you with the dreaded gombu that everybody was getting in 2021, right? We're calling it that because I know that you're concerned that you're on a list. I just, on my channel anymore, I just say it. I think that
they just don't, they take it off. So I have my videos taken off Rumble, Odyssey, I guess Brighteon.
I get it. I thought that was the whole point of it, is that it's like blockchain and they can't censor it.
No, they've taken it off, or it doesn't load. That's the other thing. So these videos won't load. And then I have classes that I teach. So it's all private, unlisted links go directly into my website with the embedded code, and they're removed. So I have people that are like, "Oh, your video's now gone off of Odyssey or Rumble. Rumble's taking them down now too." But they'll just take them down if the word is in there, or they won't load it.
TikTok won't accept anything we do. We're just so blacklisted that TikTok literally takes down everything we do. And I think my employee who puts stuff on different platforms, now she can't even get into TikTok. So it's like all of us are just banned. So I don't even bother on TikTok. But
I'll tell you, I remembered what it was. So during 2020 in the lockdown, when I had 3 male patients that were getting their regular debridement, they couldn't go in to see the podiatrist. Every single one of those men healed their wounds from me, just doing the regular wound care, keeping it clean, putting a little calcium alginate on it. That was it. Then all the wounds healed because they stopped getting debrided.
Wow. I'm glad to know this, because any one of us could get burned, and it doesn't matter how healthy you eat, you're going to either end up in there with them scraping off what's healing on the surface of your skin.
That's what they're scraping.
Yeah, your body is building new skin cells. It's a miracle. It's awe-inspiring to watch. It makes you believe in God. I don't know much about God, but I do believe there's a God. But so let me finish about the NAC. So they start the narrative out there for NAC, N-acetylcysteine, which, please, everyone, go look this up and fact check me on this. But the narrative was, it works so well, they don't want us to have it. So here, buy 9, get 1 free, to have 10, because you may never be able to get this again. Like Amazon is talking about getting rid of it. Well, here's the thing. That's what everybody out there who considers themselves holistic was saying and thinking. I also fell for it. Okay, let me just say, I'm not making fun of people. I fell for it too. It's the last time I'm going to fall for one of these narratives. So then when I started researching it, especially later when I had the assistance of AI, and it's just so easy to find these things out if you're good at putting in the right kind of queries to get around the gatekeeping of the information. They'll give you marketing narrative if you ask it dumb questions. If you ask it surface level dumb questions, it'll give you the marketing narrative for vitamin C or whatever. But anyway, so I went in, I started poking around, I did a lot of different queries, and I found out that NAC, the reason that it was maybe going to go off the market is that it's already a drug. It's already used in our psychotropic drugs. It's already in a lot of different drugs. It is a drug. It's as synthetic as anything else in the pharma supply chain. And so there was a fight over whether it gets to be a controlled substance or not. It wasn't this natural thing they want to take away from us because it works so well. Right. So anyway, NAC is actually still out there, but I had a colleague who was like, we are making bank on our private labeled NAC. And anyway, so because I had seen that, I was like, it seems like I should dig a little deeper here. I am getting so cynical about marketing claims.
But it's the same ploy that the industry uses, which is why I write a playbook, because they don't vary from the play. And so it's always like with ivermectin, they did the same thing. It's a
drug. They don't want you to have it. They don't want you to have it. So take it for everything.
Yeah, and the pharmaceutical industry wasn't making any money on it. It's just a sleeper drug. So go look at a market analysis of ivermectin, and then look at it.
The price went way up. The price went through the roof. I did not take it when we got the dreaded Gumbu in 2021. I didn't take it, but I didn't know better, and I did try to get it, and the price of it was insane. And also, they wouldn't fill the prescription, which that just makes you think, it must be good. It must be good. Fill the prescription. Everybody should check themselves if you start to fall for this. I can't get it, so it must be good. Or there's some kind of FOMO narrative. Check into it, because it's not always what you might originally think. Like, it's big bad pharma trying to keep it from us. Once you get really clear, and you will, reading this book, that supplements and controlled substances, drugs, are not polar opposites. They're kissing cousins.
They're not only kissing cousins. You can, and this is what you can research all on your own, look up a market analysis. That's public information. You can look at what the industry is making. You can look at the CAGR, like what they expect it to increase in the next 10 years. So there's tons of money to be made, and it's made in identical ways. So like when you said vitamin D3, it's a corticosteroid hormone. You can't just go and get a corticosteroid hormone and without a prescription, unless it's a vitamin. So that's how they're playing both sides of it. So Robyn, where can people find you? Where can they buy a copy of this book? Carolyn said it's ready now. We can
so you can pre-order it now, and it has like the Audible that my British co-author and I read every other chapter of. I don't know if you have a link of your own, but like right now you're pre-ordering it. But it comes out next week, so I don't know when you're going to publish this. Maybe by the time they have it. But the pre-order deal has like one of the only supplements that I think is a real deficiency story, and so you get a deal on that, and you get the audiobook free that Mike and I read. I love listening to him talk, so I almost wanted to have him like read the whole thing, because I was like, people who are listening are going to hate listening to my boring American voice when you have that sexy British thing going on. Anyway, and then there's like 3 videos of him and I talking about things that our audience told us they wanted, like 6 supplements I would never take and why. There's a video about that. So anyways, you can give them a link and they can order through your link. That's all we've got right now.
Right down below. Yeah. And you still have the Green Smoothie Girl website up, and they can go and watch your archives and look up stuff on that. So yeah, the link for the book will be right there, and her link for her website. Anything you want to leave our listeners with?
No, I'm Green Smoothie Girl on Facebook. Actually, I'm probably the most honest on my personal page, Robyn Openshaw, but I loved writing this book. I think people need to know it. I don't think I could have written this book before. Am I allowed to say that word? Okay.
No, but I'll delete it.
Okay, I don't think I could have written this book before the dreaded Gombu that happened in 2020 and 2021, and I think so many people are questioning narratives that I finally can bring this book to the public, because just like the reaction that you got from so many influencers, I get that from the general public as well. They're really defensive about the pills they took. Just like the thing that we injected, the people who did it are really defensive about it. The minute they do it, all of a sudden it's like personal to them. People the same way with supplements. And so people have gotten really hot under the collar when I do a research piece. You know this, you've been talking about this very similar subject, lots of the same subjects. We both do our own personal research, but I just want everybody to know that like kill the sacred cows. Like, do you want to have your health or do you want to eat the pills? Like,
exactly.
Just find, like, I just got to the point where I was like, bring all the truth. Give me all the truth.
That's what I was like, I'm ready to wake up completely. I'm done with it. It was when I gave my son vitamin D3 and he broke his shoulder. Like, that's when I'm like, okay, now I'm awake and now I'm pissed. And now I'm going to research everything. And so the difference, though, I think in how we are researching, and I want to point this out really quick before we go, is that I'm just telling you what these chemicals do inside the body. I'm not saying here's a study that says that vitamin B1 is not effective in 37%. Like, I don't go with that. I'm just telling you exactly how it's made, what these chemicals do inside the body, and then you get to make up your own choice. But that's how I research. That's how, Agent 13, 17, 11 and I are doing this shadow banned library. So everyone that can't post anything anywhere else, you can post it on our library. We're building our own website. We're doing all these things because it's truth-based research, affiliate link-free research, sponsorship-free research, which I think is what we're all needing. But again, like you said, all you had to do when you found out about vitamin D3 and people were like, hey, you told me to take it. It's like, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Let's move on and
I've learned more since then, just like we all learn more.
Right.
And so I think I get more valuable the older I get and the more research I do. And nobody was like, well, I hate you, then I'm never going to listen to you again. I think people appreciate that. Like, I would, if I had ever, I don't have a whole lot of interaction with the medical profession besides going in and getting hormone labs drawn once a year. The last doctor I went to pulled a now 25-year-old person out of my body. But, like, I appreciate it when a doctor will say to me or a practitioner will say to me, I'm not sure, I'll have to research that.
Yeah.
Or just like, but most of them will just look like deer in the headlights and say some kind of words. And for some reason, I don't know, or, well, I was wrong, or I used to think that. It's actually really easy. Just practice saying, well, I used to think that. Mm-hmm. And then I found out I was wrong.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I did some more research and I had to do that. I was recommending colloidal silver and I found out it's one of the most highly electroconductive metals that you can put inside your body. So if you want to be on the smart grid, that's a great way to be on it. And so I came out with a whole article. I said, I'm really sorry. I was recommending this. I was wrong. And here's why. It's very easy. It's very free. You can sleep really well at night.
I want to link to that because I don't have a chapter about that one. And I have a friend who thinks colloidal silver is the greatest thing ever. So
it's a great article. I did some, and again, I'm using all these AI tools now when they're telling us the whole truth. Like, you can find so much information now very quickly. It took me forever to dig, but right now AI is telling us the truth. I mean, it's going to go away, I'm sure, soon. But yeah, this
and when it does, people reading my book will think that I'm wrong or that I'm lying, because there will come a time when people think that everything that ChatGPT tells them is
true.
The gospel truth on everything, and they will gatekeep, because I watched Google do it in 2017 and 2018, where my website was getting 2 million organic visitors a year, and it went from 2 million down to less than 500,000, and then less than 200,000 organically finding my content because it was the best content out there on this or that topic. And then they made it really pay to play. And I don't know that the average person knows that, but that does happen. And I watched Google do it in the updates of 2017 and 2018, and all my colleagues lost 80 and 90% of their organic traffic. And so we know that it's going to happen with AI, and that's why I wrote this book, and I had to do it, and do it now, because I could get the information.
And that's exactly why we're starting the library behind paywall. So first of all, the crawlers can't take it down and find it. And then next will be on our very own website. It's getting built out right now for that purpose. And then you can download a copy, or you can do a print on demand feature. I'm working on that, because that is what we're going to be reduced to, because you and me and other people who are actually speaking the affiliate link free truth that are affecting the industry's bottom line, we're going to disappear off of the screens.
Yeah, I will go under from all the free speech and being canceled by 3 banks, and I won't sell crappy supplements. And like there's colleagues of mine who I've convinced about these supplements, but they're still chasing pills because it's just so profitable, you guys. You have to understand how profitable it is.
Good luck with that when it comes to your personal health and your
how you feel about your business and what it is you're using your influence to do. And so I'll go under eventually, and then it'll just be a mission for me. And I'm at the age where I can retire and have a financial status where I can retire. So I do want to point that out, is that I do know that some of my colleagues are like, well, I believe you, Robyn, you've convinced me, but I got to make a living. I've got all these kids and this house payment. I'm not excusing them, Robyn. I'm not excusing them. I'm just saying, I
know the excuse.
I know that I'm going to go under.
Right.
But right now I'm literally just speaking up because it's the right thing to do, which is what I started as in the first place.
But that's the point. It's the right thing to do, and that's what you're doing. So thank you for listening. Thank you for doing your own research and for walking on the right side of the road, as I call it.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for everything you do, Robyn, too. You're a warrior.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another incredible episode of the Medicine Girl podcast, where our mission is to ignite the power within so you can hear your divine wisdom and follow your soul's true north. Fear is loud. Peace is quiet. Listen to the softest voice. We are all walking each other home.
Hey.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, cool background.
It's something from Canva.
I know, I can tell, because it always has the, cutout.
Yeah. And there's a fan back there, but I can't turn the background off. I've been on Canva now 1,000 times, and it won't let me turn off the background.
Well, I've seen people who the thing looks weird and yours doesn't, so.
That's good. Okay.
Let's see if that light is better, or if blasting this one in my face. Just give it a second. I know at first it's too bright, but tell me which is better. Better?
Yeah, that one's better.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're recording, so we'll do an hour.
Okay.
And anything you don't want to talk about?
No, if you wanted to ask me about the appeal lawsuit, as far as I'm concerned, they're out promoting it. I'd talk about that even. I'm deciding whether I do media on it, but I've been sued for $60 million by appeal. So I wouldn't lead with that if you want to actually talk about what you care about, which is...
Yeah, we'll start there, and then I would like to talk about the appeal, because I'm curious what's going on with that. So